Heather, if you can hear me, can you test your mic?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Yay.
Yay! That's why I got on so early. I wanted to make sure it was okay.
Thank you. We have 11 commissioners with Yan Ling. I'll make sure and get her moved to a presenter. Dr. Chung, are you able to speak?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, earlier I don't think I was in a presentation mode, so. All right, it's 8:01. Amelia, do we have enough for quorum to begin the meeting?
Yes, we do.
Great. The business meeting of the Washington Medical Commission will then now come to order. First, Amelia, do we have any housekeeping items?
No, and I will have a public comment. I just have to go get it real quick.
Great, thank you. We will now begin the portion of the business meeting to take public comment. The purpose is to allow members. Hold on. I don't know if my camera's been on or off, but it says it's disabled. I don't know if anyone can see me.
We can see you.
Oh, good. Okay. It's not disabled. Thank you. We'll now begin the portion of the business meeting to take public comment. The purpose is to allow members of the public to directly address the Washington Medical Commission on issues of public concern. Please refrain from providing comments on pending or open investigations or disciplinary cases. We will not be answering questions or responding. Staff will be available after the meeting to answer your questions. Please understand that although the time period for comment during the business meeting is limited, the public can attend and provide comment at Washington Medical Commission committee meetings. The public can also contact staff during normal business hours. We welcome written comments as well. Amelia, do we have any members of the public for comment?
Let me check. I do have one written comment. Trying to find it. It has disappeared on me, so it doesn't look like there's any hand raised, so give me just a moment. Okay, I finally found it. So this is from Lindri Hennigar. She asked that this be read at our next meeting. She says, I appreciate the work the Washington Medical Commission has done revising the opioid prescribing interpretive statement. Patients in Washington state suffering from rare diseases and medical conditions that cause intractable pain have been abandoned and forgotten. Patients once under the care of physicians have been forced, tapered, or completely discharged. Many left to struggle with intractable pain and with no quality of life. Some commit suicide, others go to the streets for relief. The statement is well written, but it cannot be effective if it is not read by physicians. Will the WMC ensure that physicians read it by setting up some type of receipt verification or acknowledgement from medical practices and institutions that the interpretive statement will be read and shared with all practitioners? The direct issue is touching every physician in our state to ensure that they read the interpretive statements, thereby noting they understand and acknowledge their responsibilities to all patients, whether struggling with pain from a rare disease or suffering from addiction. All mankind deserves respect, compassion, and empathy. Doctors cannot pretend that fear of reprisal prevents them from treating pain effectively. Many have used fear as an excuse, and sanctions must be adhered to for those who blatantly ignore their duties as physicians. I have personally heard from dozens of legitimate pain patients, even some fighting cancer, who have been abandoned or force tapered. Many have filed complaints with the WMC, but their complaints were discharged and physicians were not even investigated or sanctioned. This is why physicians feel they can deny proper care to patients who desperately need and deserve it. These failures to thoroughly investigate claims makes it hard for patients to know where to turn. Getting to the point of filing a complaint is agonizing. The emotional and physical toll of being ignored by those you trust to help you when you're dealing with a multitude of medical conditions is exasperating. Patients are being forced to live in agony. Some commit suicide, others go to the street. Sad when they had been or could be under the care of the watchful eyes of a physician. I respect the work done by WMC to untangle the issues brought forth by the 2016 CDC opioid guidelines. We have to find a way to reach those doctors and ensure patient pain treatment is no longer ignored and avoided. Will they include the opioid prescribing statement in future CME and new physician licensing or certifications? I hope that we can get back to when Washington State was revered for its quality patient care. We all need to work together to ensure those in future generations, those struggling from painful diseases, facing surgery, rare disease diagnosis, or pain resulting from traumatic events, are not left to suffer without quality of life.
Thank you, Amelia.
Mhm.
The comment has been noted. Are there any other public members like to speak at this time?
There are no hands raised.
Thank you. With none, this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. I want to thank you for your comments. Again, you may provide written comments at any time. All right, so next item on the agenda is the chair report. I just have a couple of words for this morning. Today is a very special business meeting for a number of reasons for the Medical Commission. While we have worked very hard to return to in-person meetings, today's meeting is back to a virtual platform, and coincidentally, we'll pretend what will come in the future. As we heard yesterday during the Lunch and Learn, we will be discussing some major changes in how we conduct our business meetings in the future, which will likely resemble today's meeting more than we might have expected previously. More to come on that. I'll also mention that we had a strong showing at the FSMB meeting earlier this month. We had several of us actually presenting on panels, including Mike Farrell, I believe Micah as well. And I hope I'm not leaving anybody else out. Was there anyone else who presented? In any case, the sessions in this this year were not too controversial. There were some discussions on the standard topics, as you might imagine, standards of care, opioid prescribing, use of data and privacy, diversity, sexual misconduct, digital credentialing, and others. From my own personal perspective, I felt there was no discussion on some of the more controversial trends in medical legislation today, such as reproductive health or gender affirming care, criminalizing of medical errors, AI, social media, threats of misinformation, etc. Also, notably, there were virtually no discussion on COVID misinformation cases, unlike the previous years. And just as an FYI, for the House of Delegates portion, there were no substantive issues up for vote other than some bylaws changes. Regardless, it's still a very meaningful meeting, and I would encourage those of you who haven't been to this meeting previously to attend at least once if you don't have the opportunity to go as a delegate. Also, I would say that listening to the other state representatives at the meeting, I was even more convinced that Washington Medical Commission is definitely one of the most progressive and forward-thinking agencies. I'm very proud to have represented us. Excuse me. Also, as you all know, we will be holding elections later today for the next officers of the commission. More to come on that later. I also want to, though, highlight that this is also likely to be the last business meeting with Melanie fully serving as executive director. We will expect that by the next business meeting in July, we will have selected her successor and will be well on our way to transitioning to their leadership. But we still hope that we will see Melanie at least one more time at a business meeting before saying goodbye. So I want to add that one cannot say enough about Melanie and the work that she has done for the commission. She has not only led the organization successfully through all the usual day-to-day work of the commission, if there is such a thing, but she also made some tremendous progressive changes to the commission that I think most of us have taken for granted because we don't see them anywhere else. In fact, most of the time, if one of us brings up a new idea and we think this is innovative, it'll turn out that Melanie had already started it. It's like she's always one step ahead of us. Anyway, this is the last opportunity for me to recognize and thank Melanie as my role as chair, because this is also the last business meeting that I will be chairing. So I want to take the opportunity to thank her and recognize her for all the work that she has done for us. Last piece of information, just which I'm sure most of you are aware, Dr. Bangma has resigned her commission position so that we have a vacancy again for District 9. I'd like to thank her for her time that she dedicated to the commission during her service. So that concludes my report, and I'll have the opportunity to add a few more words after the election today. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Before you is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda considered routine agency matters and approved by a single motion without separate discussion. If a separate discussion is desired, that item should be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular business agenda. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Dr. Chung, just real quick, I need to pull the minutes. There was an error in the report about the rulemaking request from Micah. We just need to change a word, so I will bring them back to the next meeting, I believe. We need to change, I think, please.
From expedited to emergency.
Yes, correct. I think you
Thank
can
you.
do that in a motion. You can just change that one word. That's the only change that'll be added to the minutes from last month or the month before.
Thank you. We'll take that as a separate item for discussion. The minutes from the last meeting has been extracted from the consent agenda. With that extraction, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I still move.
Do a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, or hearing none, I guess. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries. Thank you. At this point, we'll address the changes to the minutes. As you just heard, there is a one-word correction to the minutes. And we have a motion to accept that one-word correction.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Micah, do we need an explanation for the change?
I'll take ownership of this one. I inadvertently in my memo to you last time used both the words expedited and emergency, but what you approved was emergency. So that is what the after discussion with Heather Carter, that is what the minutes should be reflecting, because that is what you actually approved.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Technically, what we just voted on is the change of the language in the minutes. We now need a motion to accept the minutes. May we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Just as a quick explanation, because the item was pulled from the consent agenda, the entire item is now up for discussion. And if there are any other aspects of the minutes that need to be addressed, this would be the opportunity to do that. So from a procedural perspective, that was necessary. Any discussion on the minutes as a whole? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Opposed? None opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Lopez, did you have a hand raised or was that a vote? Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. First item is new meeting protocol. Is that Amelia? You want to take that?
I can. So yesterday at our lunch and learn, we talked about some new meeting protocols that we will have moving forward. We gave a presentation, and if you need to see that presentation, if you weren't there, we will be posting it to our YouTube channel by next week. So all the information was there, and if you have any questions about that, you can certainly email them to me. But basically, we will be moving towards a more virtual model for both our business meeting and our policy committee meetings. And then we will have an additional policy meeting that is just for interested parties that will it will be before the policy committee meeting and before the business meetings, and it will give time for our interested parties to actually weigh in on our policies and interpretive statements and things like that. And so we are just presenting the new dates. There was a change to the 2023 dates yesterday after that meeting, and then I have an additional change for the 2023 dates. And then the 24 and 25 dates, if you need to discuss them, we can do that during each vote. But we will be presenting those dates today for approval, and you're just approving the policy and business meeting dates because those are the ones that we file with the code revisor. So the other dates are negotiable, and you can negotiate those other dates with the legal staff for case dispo and the compliance staff for personal appearances.
Thank you. So in summary, what we are doing is recognizing that the in-person meetings, the requirement for in-person is really for two reasons. One is for the case disposition discussions, and the other is for personal appearances. We've identified an opportunity to make more efficiently by combining those under one day for the most part, and then recognizing that the need for having business meetings can be met through virtual means. So with this new meeting protocol, all business meetings will be conducted virtually. Also, policy committee and other committee meetings will occur virtually as well. And so action needed to be taken today include the voting for the or approving the policy and business meeting dates as Amelia just described, and recognizing that the policy committee meeting process will include a separate meeting prior to that actual policy committee meeting. Also recognizing that the dates for the policy committees have to coincide with the business meeting in such that it occurs at minimum 1 week before the business meeting date, in order for the commissioners to have adequate time to review the policy committee outcomes. I think that between Ms. Boyd and that explanation, that should be enough information. We can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the policy committee and business meeting dates for 2023. So do we need to have that shown, Amelia?
Yeah, Fatima's working on it.
Okay. We did see these date changes yesterday at the Lunch and Learn. If you weren't able to join that, you can see it on your screen right now. The first change that would have occurred in July, we requested that because of the short notice for that particular change in July, we have kept the July 13th and 14th the same as our usual 2-day in-person meeting. So that will occur as previously scheduled. You will note that this change also includes a new meeting on June 30th for a policy prep meeting, if you will, for interested parties. And then the actual policy committee meeting will occur as usual on July 13th. After this series of meetings through July, you'll see that there are significant changes. However, just to note that the in-person meetings that have previously been scheduled in August, October, and November have been there is still the same dates, it's just shortened to 1 day. Although it looks like for October, we'll be spending the 2nd day as our annual commissioner retreat. So do we have I'm sorry, go ahead, Amelia.
Dr. Gallinger has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Dr. Gallinger?
From the discussion yesterday until the changes that were made kind of in real time, my requests for consideration would be that on Thursday, July 13th, that the personal appearances be scheduled that day. So we do a trial run of having all the case disposition and personal appearances on a single day. On Thursday, July 13th, as was initially proposed. And then that way we would have time Friday, July 14th after the business meeting or during the business meeting to sort of debrief or review how it went and start to work out the kinks as we move forward into a new schedule.
Okay, thank you for that. From a scheduling perspective, do we have anyone from compliance who might be able to speak to that?
Dr. Chung, I think the operative question might be directed more towards legal. It's really the caseload that you commissioners consider during your case disposition that's going to define how we were able to schedule that.
Right,
other
that's also a consideration, but I was also wondering if we already had people scheduled for those personal appearances and if they would be able to change the dates that they have already scheduled to appear for.
I'm
But
sure that
thank you for that, though.
I'm sure that they have been scheduled by this point, but we've got longer than 30 days between now and when they would be proposed to show up, so we could certainly make adjustments.
The other thing that you need to consider is for this particular day on Thursday, the policy committee meeting will stay at 4 o'clock. And that might impact personal appearances. Going forward, we're going to bifurcate the policy meeting from that day. So it would give you the afternoon, just food for thought.
But yesterday, this schedule by Amelia proposed had the personal appearances on Thursday, July 13th. So that was already what was on our proposed schedule yesterday. I'm just asking for it to return to what was proposed yesterday.
Yeah, I don't remember that part exactly. I think the request was to move the business meeting that was scheduled for 2 weeks after the personal appearance date back to July 14th because of some difficulties in scheduling for some of the commission members. And so I'm not sure if at this point, if policy can be separated from the Thursday meeting to allow that to happen. Ms. Boyd, I think you were going to say something.
So I was just going to say that we can separate the policy committee meeting. The issue there is that whatever's presented at policy won't be, I mean, if there's no policy committee meeting on the 13th, there will be no discussion about policy on the 14th at the business meeting. So that was part of the ask yesterday, is that we have the July meeting as was scheduled previously and in person, instead of having it virtually. Now, what I can do is move the policy committee meeting to earlier in July, perhaps, maybe that same week, but earlier in the week, because the week prior is a holiday week, I believe, which I don't know. I'll chat with Miss Blake and Mr. Farrell about moving that maybe to the end of the week prior. I don't have a calendar here in front of me, so I think 4th of July is on a Tuesday, I believe. So we could move it to the Friday
July
prior.
7th. July 7th, Amelia.
Okay. So we could move it to the Friday prior, and then you could still put the personal appearances on the Thursday, but that would be a question for legal if they can do that. Since it was already that way, I'm assuming they could. I did make Kyle a presenter, so he can speak if he would like. But we can certainly move the policy committee meeting to the 7th, probably at 4 o'clock again if we want to, and then you would still be able to talk about the items on the policy committee meeting at the business meeting on Friday.
Right, thank you for that. I appreciate the flexibility. So as this is a matter of item that we need to take action on, I'd like to propose that we create a separate motion for that particular change for the commission members to decide on, and then we will vote to accept the rest of the schedule as a whole. Dr. Gallinger, I'm assuming that you would make the motion to separate the policy committee from July 13th and to the week prior, so that it would allow personal appearances to occur along with case disposition on July 13th.
Sure, I don't really care about the policy committee part. I just care about the personal appearances part. But if they need to be tied together, then so be it.
The policy committee meeting is part of what we have to vote on for this to accept the calendar, the schedule as shown. So we would have to make that a part of the motion.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that particular matter? Now, this would affect those of you who are on policy committee. You would have to commit to a meeting on July 7th, following the interested parties meeting on June 30th, which would be the week prior to that. Dr. Domino?
Any schedules may be difficult to adjust clinical care, so, but that's fine. I'm happy to miss it if I can't make it. It's just you need enough people. Yesterday, we didn't even have a lot, so.
Thank you. Ms. Blake?
That is my only concern is people don't have already their schedules laid out. So we may not end up with a quorum moving the policy committee around. I'm hopeful that won't happen, but it might.
Thank you, Dr. Yu.
Yeah, just sorry. Remind me why we want to move personal appearance on the July 14th to the 13th. What is the primary reason for that?
So the proposal, and I will invite Dr. Gallinger to explain further if necessary. The proposal is to move the personal appearances to follow case disposition on July 13th, because that is what we will be doing in the future. And so the ask is to do that now as it was previously presented, because that was actually the original request on the, or original change on the calendar.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Ms. Blake?
Sorry, I'll take my hand down.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Domino?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could kind of, for those of us on policy, look at our schedules. I mean, I could look at it right now, but I have to get it out just to be sure that we could actually make it on the 7th. Is that the date proposed? Can we do that? I know.
Thank you. Ms. Boyd, is it possible to have a vote on the schedule as presented, and then have a separate vote to change that one particular policy committee date before we have another business meeting? Because I know that the
No.
policy committee meeting dates have to be submitted and has to be made public.
Right, so this is the last business meeting before the July business meeting. So you would have to make that vote today.
Thank you. That's what I was afraid of. So, Dr. Domino, it doesn't sound like
Can we just
that.
delay it like 10 minutes so we can look at our schedules
Yes,
and
I
make
was
sure we
actually-
can make it?
Yeah, I was actually just going to make that suggestion that we can table it. We can table it to a time specific, which could be towards the end of this meeting. So if that is the request, that does not require a motion or a vote or a second, I'm sorry. It can just be a motion that we'll accept. So I'll take it that that's what you'd like to do, Dr. Domino.
Yes, I'd like to move it to later the agenda so those of us on the policy committee can make sure that we can make the meeting. And my understanding, it would be on July 7th, and it would be at what time of day?
Thank you. So that item and that motion, sorry, that was made by Dr. Gallinger, as well as the action on this 2023 calendar, will be tabled till towards the end of the agenda today. So next item on the agenda then will be the 2024 calendar. which I believe will be displayed in front of you now. But before you see the calendar for 2024, again, we will be voting to approve the policy and business meeting, the policy committee and business meeting dates. I know you can't see the entire year on the screen that's being put in front of you. So if you have questions, please raise them now. Questions can always be asked. Do we have a motion to accept this schedule?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the 2024 meeting schedule? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the 2024 meeting schedule as presented, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Again, what we have voted on is the policy committee and business meeting dates. All other dates can be negotiated into the future. All right, next we have the 2025 meeting schedule. Again, we are looking at the policy committee dates and the business meeting dates. We have a motion to accept this schedule.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, none opposed. The motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is committee and work group reports. Are there any reports from any of the committees or work groups? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to the next item. Rulemaking activities. Ms. Boyd?
So I have nothing new to report. Let's see. Hold on just a moment. Oh. We do have we are requesting to initiate the next step in the rulemaking process for the health equity continuing education. It's the CR 102. You approved some language previously that was model language at a rules workshop. And so that model language was created by the Department of Health after many interested parties meetings. And so we are just following along with that model language, and it is in your packet. And we are asking to approve moving on to the next step in that process. And we should be able to have a hearing on this one before the end of the year. I'm shooting for probably the October business meeting. I think we have one in October. I can't remember now. And so it will be part of a future business meeting.
Thank you. Any questions on that item? Okay. Next, Mr. Matthews. Micah.
Thank you. So I've included a memo that has 2 vote requests for you. If we scroll down a little bit more in the packet, there we go. And so if you've read that, you'll understand that you approved an emergency rulemaking request at your last meeting. We were not prepared to move forward with the standard rulemaking request, but the statute, and I will absolutely roll the dice here and ask Heather Carter to jump in if she can, or if she feels necessary. We'll see if Teams cooperates with her. But in order to have an emergency rulemaking request going forward, you must also have a standard rulemaking request going that will effectively do the same thing, but on a longer timeline. And so that's the request of the first vote to approve standard rulemaking. The second is a direct suggestion from Heather Carter to address any applications that we may get in the interim before those rule languages are set. And that is to approve enforcement discretion, allowing us, the staff, when we run into a scenario where someone may not say they are graduating from UW programs, if they meet all the requirements, but their accredited residency just doesn't happen to be in 24 consecutive months, but maybe they've got 4 years of residency, that we are authorized to issue them a license in those scenarios. So that's the request for vote 2 is enforcement discretion. Heather, do you have anything to add?
Just that the reason you have to authorize regular rulemaking is because those emergency rules are just temporary, so they will go into effect for only 120 days. And so to keep that going, you need to initiate the ordinary or regular rulemaking. So that's, yep.
We'll take these as separate items, separate action items. The first is a vote by the commission to authorize a standard rulemaking process. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Everybody understands this perfectly, huh? Yeah. Dr. Yu.
Yeah, I just have a question. Is this an emergency rulemaking sort of like during the pandemic that commission drafted up something about, you know, the how to deal with, you know, the misinformation or currently in terms of the abortion in other state and cross state care? Is that something that we were thinking about in mind?
No, Dr. Yu. So the misinformation statements and that sort of thing that you approved during the pandemic, those are simply direction statements or position statements of the commission. Rulemaking has, and I may misstate this a little bit, effectively has the force of law with respect to your standards. And so that's what this is dealing with is you have a rule right now that says you have to have 24 consecutive months in no more than, I believe, 2 programs. No more than 2 training programs. And that's not really how residencies are set up even at UW. So I discussed this in the previous meeting with respect to how 1 year could be accredited of training and then they would alternate that. They would end up having 24 months of accredited training. It just wouldn't be consecutive. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to penalize someone who has 4 years of residency training and is board eligible, graduating from our in-state institution, and yet our rule would prevent them from getting licensed.
So this sort of like a supplement or additional WAC. Is that understand correctly?
We're talking about removing aspects of the WAC.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks for clarification.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that first item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The next item is the second vote request, which is to formalize the decision to use its enforcement discretion to apply the following sections of the WAC as written on the screen there, removing the word consecutive and in no more than 2 programs. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you for that. All right, next item also I think is for Mr. Matthews, bylaws.
Yes, so I'll give credit to Chair Chung on this one. He caught some confusing language in the bylaws, and it's under let's see, if we scroll down to, I think, officers in Article 3, Section 2 is where the changes begin. And so just, it's a clarification of positions with respect to chair-elect or vice chair or officer at large. There's also a slight clarification with respect to when, with the agreement of the current chair and the vice chair / chair-elect, whoever that may be, that they can take over as chair upon the mutual agreement of those two at an earlier date than what is typical for the commission. And I thought I saw Heather Carter's hand up.
Okay, Ms. Carter?
I'm sorry. It was just that I think we need, not about this item. So it's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. So this, according to the bylaws, this has to be distributed to the commission ahead of the meeting. So that's what did occur in your packet. You can consider this a submission from the executive committee, and at that point, you should be cleared to vote to accept or deny.
Yeah, I think the clarification that I had requested in the bylaws, just to speak to that briefly, is that who we elect are actually chair, vice chair, and officer at large. It also states that the officers shall consist of chair, vice chair, officer at large, and immediate past chair. And then the next section, it says the Washington Medical Commission shall elect its officers at its regular meeting immediately preceding the month of July. It implies that all 4 officers are actually elected, which generally is not the case because we don't actually hold an election for immediate past chair. Second point is that we had, at least last year and perhaps before, had elected somebody under the title of chair-elect. The chair-elect is actually a non-official term that describes the chair, the newly elected chair after the May meeting, but is not an actual officer. And so whoever we elect as the chair then becomes chair-elect until they take over in July. And so we wanted to make sure that that terminology was correct, and we wanted to make sure that we corrected that in the ballots later today as we vote for the officers during our election. So with the clarification that Mr. Matthews has presented here, can we have a motion to make these changes in the bylaws?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, none opposed. Abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. Next item on the agenda are lists and labels requests. Ms. Carter, this might be an opportunity for you to state whatever you wanted to say before and then move on to the list.
Yeah, so my comment was regarding the health equity CE rules. I don't think you took a vote on approving that CR 102, so I think it would be appropriate to do that.
Thank you. Ms. Boyd, can we go back to that item?
Absolutely. So this is the draft language that you are voting on to move forward to the hearing process.
Okay, so this is a draft language, new section. Again, just for clarification, those of you may not be familiar with the WAC or the Washington Administrative Codes, there's a separate section for PAs and a separate section for physicians, 918 and 919. This would make the changes to both, but essentially a physician or physician assistant must complete 2 hours of health equity continuing education training every 4 years as described, and 2 hours of health equity continuing education will count towards meeting applicable continuing education requirements in the same category. So this requires a vote. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Ms. Carter?
Sure. So you have one request for a list and labels, what we call it. For the new folks, this is a public records request, and in order for someone to get a list of all your licensees or applicants, they have to either be a professional association or an educational organization. And sort of some reference to what that means is on page 24 on the application. You've got one, it's from CI Health Group LLC. I've looked at the materials that they've submitted. They are like a credentialing organization. I don't believe that they appear to meet either of the definitions of the professional association or educational organization. So I would recommend at this point to deny their application.
Thank you. Can we have a motion from the commission?
Motion
Move
to
to
deny
deny.
the application.
Second.
Okay. Second, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, a policy committee report. Ms. Blake?
Let me unmute myself here. Good morning. Policy Committee met last night, and in your packet, you'll see the guidance document on collaborative approach to reducing medical error and enhancing patient safety. We actually tabled any action on this. I think on page 6 of this document. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read it. You can see the foundation's involvement in this as well, and the foundation has hired someone, and it was determined that we should probably wait to see what action they were going to take on this before we made any changes. And Mike, I'll turn it over to you if you want to add more information.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. The Foundation for Healthcare Quality just received $300,000 in the latest state budget to provide funding to hire someone to run the certification program. So we'd like to reassess our relationship with the foundation and wait until that person is on board and up and running, and then have a meeting, perhaps appoint a work group to work with the foundation to see if we can implement the plan that's on your screen there, that's in this document, that was never implemented. So we recommend that this be tabled so that we can continue to work on this, and we'll bring it back later. Thank you.
Thank you. Policy committee will bring this back.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very excited about that news, Mike.
Yeah, Dr. Chung, I remember when I started on the commission, the Rome Committee was looking at this. And I was actually at a meeting where this was being brought up and discussed, and didn't really know anyone on the commission at that time, but I remember this going way back. So I was pretty excited to see it pop up again too.
Great. Well, I'm very excited that the certification program is going to be up and running again. That you won't see it. You won't see it on camera, but I'll be up and dancing pretty soon. All right. Any
Thank you.
other?
That's the end of our report. No, we have nothing else. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Unless, Mike, you had something.
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member reports, any reports from the commission members? It's an opportunity for commission members to share any information with the rest of the commission. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. Staff member reports. Any reports from the staff?
Like Frida has her hand raised.
Yeah, sorry, my screen's covered and I can't see who. Ms. Pace?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. I just have a brief announcement. We have a new addition to the complaint intake unit. Effective April 16th, Alex Bolesky joined the commission as our new case manager. We've provided a brief description of Alex's background in the staff reports for your review, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to welcome Alex to the team.
Thank you. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Alex, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, me unmute him. Hold on. Allow mic. You can speak if you'd like, Alex.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. I'm afraid to say my name is Alex Bolosky. I've been an employee with the Department of Health since 2015 as part of the Nursing Commission as well as HSQA. And I look forward to working with the Medical Commission from here on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And once again, we continue to see members of the other commissions seeing the light and joining the best one. So thank you for joining us. Mr. Matthews.
Alex might be a little bit conflicted as his wife works for the Nursing Commission. So, yeah, so just in a follow-up to my legislative session, I just want to direct my staff report. I just wanted to direct everyone to an email I sent last night, which is my formal wrap-up of the legislative session and the potential impacts to the Medical Commission. Overall, I would characterize it as we don't have a lot of major impacts. We do have a couple of troublesome bills that we're going to have to figure out how to work with respect to. One in particular is concerning the practice of optometry, and we have to come up with a delegation agreement style type of thing that will allow optometrists to have emergency medical care access for their expanded scope procedures. That, charitably speaking, is a hairball, and we'll be working to try and sort that out. The other thing I wanted to do is do a follow-up with respect to FSMB. In addition to folks presenting, we have several award winners, national award winners. So I just wanted to highlight, she's not here right now because she's studying for her finals, but Marissa Courtney, licensing manager, won a national award for excellence in that unit, and I think she deserves to be recognized. In addition, Jimmy Bush and Sarah Shenvert were recognized for excellence in their article on, I believe, medical recidivism, and Jimmy was representing us at the Clear International Congress in Dublin, and so Sarah accepted the award. She did the data pulls for that and helped with the analysis. So I think that's absolutely something that you as commissioners can be proud of. We represented well, and we cleaned up on the awards. So thank you.
Thank you, Micah. Congratulations to everyone. And again, just when we're out there in the on the national spotlight, we're so proud to be part of the Washington Medical Commission. And not sure I would be just as thrilled to be on some of the other state medical boards, but that's just my own opinion. But thank you. All right, any further comments or questions? Okay, moving on to the next item, AAG report. Ms. Carter?
Nothing to report today, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to move back to the item that was tabled previously. the schedule for 2023.
Before you do that, Dr. Chung, can I just make a comment about the reports that we received from the team? I want to thank Frida for reminding us about the off-ramp process and the time frame for that, within the 2-week time frame to use that. So thank you, Frida, for that reminder. It's new, so I appreciate that. And as usual, all the cases that are compiled and sent to us by Rick are always appreciated to read. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it goes without saying that it really, all of you have made the process so seamless and smooth for us. And I think it's reflected in the efficiency of how the work that the commissioners have improved. So thank you. Any further comments? Okay, moving back to the tabled item 2023 meeting schedule. Again, we're looking at policy and business meeting dates. There was a motion that was held to move the policy committee meeting on July 13th to July 7th to allow the personal appearances for July 14th to be combined with case disposition on July 13th. Business meeting date will remain July 14th. For that particular change alone, and is what the motion stands. Any discussion on that motion? Dr. Domino?
Okay, I don't know, other than seeing myself, I can't make it on the 7th for the policy because I'm working clinically. I am available the 5th. Mr. Rogers says he can make the 5th work, but I didn't see any other things in the chat from other members of the policy committee. So if anyone has any other, so if Scott and I can both make it, I just depends what other people can do. I mean, because I certainly can miss the meeting. So are there others who are on policy who can weigh in?
Christine and Ed, are you available that day?
I can make that day work if we schedule it right now and I block off my calendar. If we can get a quorum, that would be great.
Thank you.
I see
Mr.
Mr.
Lopez?
Bailey says he can join as well on the 5th, I assume.
Mr.
Yes,
Lopez,
I
I
can
think
make
we're waiting for. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
And while we're all sitting here with our calendars, what time would that be?
I was just going to ask that question. I can do either morning or afternoon. Excuse me. Excuse me. Just getting over a cold. I can do either morning or afternoon that day. If
I'm flexible.
Mike, are you okay with your schedule too?
I am. I'm flexible.
What
Thank
would
you
people
all.
rather meet early or late?
Do you want to keep it at 4 since that's been tradition?
It's fine
I
with
can
me.
Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you.
Great. So although the motion was to move the date to the 7th, I think if the majority of, if the quorum of the policy committee will agree, then we'll make that a friendly amendment to that motion. Anyone opposed to that?
I still miss the time.
I think the proposed time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon on July 5th.
Thank you.
All right, with that information, any further discussion on changing the policy committee date from July 13th to July 5th? Hearing no further discussion, do we all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed, abstentions? Motion carries. So with that change now added to the 2023 schedule in front of you, can we have a motion to accept the rest of the schedule?
So moved.
Okay. Second, I think I heard two voices. We'll take that as a second. Any discussion? Any other dates that we need to discuss? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so the next item on our agenda, we've got a lot going on today, are the leadership elections. So as previously mentioned, the election occurs in the May meeting for the chair to begin their term in the July meeting. The nominating committee, as previously shared with the commission, for a chair position, Dr. Karen Domino, vice chair, Dr. Terry Murphy, and we have three candidates for the officer at large position, Dr. April Jaeger, Mr. Ed Lopez, and Dr. Richard Wand. I will, because the officer at large has three candidates, we will take each of these positions in a separate motion and vote. At this time, I will solicit any nominations, additional nominations from the floor, or I guess the virtual floor. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to elect. I guess it's not technically, sorry, it's not a motion and a second. This is just an election. We'll take well, first of all, let me explain that because of the transparency that we have to the public, we have to be able to record each voting member's vote on each of these positions. So if we ask for a roll call vote, please understand that that there is a reason for that, and that I would feel that within this body that we would feel comfortable and confident that that is okay to do. In the past, with the quorum, we often allowed the candidates to leave the room while we voted or deliberated prior to a vote. In this format, we won't be able to do that. And so we'll be, if anyone wants to have a discussion or want to have a more privatized vote, that actually isn't going to happen today. So just for that clarification, first position, chair, all in favor of Dr. Domino as chair, please raise your hands. Thank you. And are Are there any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Dr. Domino, you're elected chair by unanimous vote. Thank you. Big round of applause. Okay. Dr. Curry, did you have a question?
No, Jimmy, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No problem. That's okay. Unless you're maybe giving her a high five.
That was
For the
it.
position. Yeah.
Fist bump.
Right. Yeah, they don't have a fist in as an option, I don't think. Vice chair, actually, they might. Vice chair, position of vice chair. All in favor of Dr. Terry Murphy, please raise your hand. Okay. Opposed? No one is raising their hand. If you want to verbalize your votes also, that's also fine. Any abstentions? Dr. Yu, did you have a question or were you voting?
I'm voting, sorry.
Oh,
I got
okay.
my hands raised up.
Yeah, it's very confusing to see. What was your vote, please?
Support.
Thank you. Dr. Murphy, you're elected vice chair by unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Applause for you. All right, so officer at large, I will point out, just so you know, the executive committee consists of the chair, vice chair, the immediate past chair, the chairs of the panels, and the officer at large. So currently, as it stands, we have one public member as a member of the and also the policy committee chair. I forgot to add that person. So because of that, the executive committee currently stands. We have all physicians and one public member. That might be information that could be pertinent to the way you want to vote today. I wanted to share that with you. So the way, just to be more, efficient with our time, I think what we'll do is we'll name each of the candidates. I'd like to give you a minute to make any comments if you would like, and then we'll have a vote at the end of each of those introductions. Okay, first candidate is Dr. April Jager. Would you like to make any comments to the commission?
I did not have anything specific prepared. I would be honored to be able to participate at the executive level, and am happy to answer questions if anybody has any. As you all know, I am commuting right now to be on the commission as we live out of state, but fortunately we will be getting closer to home over the next few years, and I anticipate that will enable me to be even more available for work outside of meetings.
Thank you, Dr. Jager. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you. Your kind confidence in considering me, and I will tell you that regardless of how the vote goes, that Rudy Giuliani will not be reaching out to anyone today.
Thank you. Dr. Wands?
You already called me.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm happy to serve if elected. I've been on the commission 4 years and be very excited to be on the executive committee. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we'll take Amelia, if you wouldn't mind just keeping things on track here, we'll take a roll call vote.
Sorry, Jimmy,
Sorry.
can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is the officer at large in line to then be the vice chair and then the chair? Is that how it always works? I'm a little fuzzy on that.
So technically, we could vote anybody into any of these roles at each election. I think the concept, though, is that because the officer at large and vice chair are likely to succeed the role above them, that we want to also take into consideration if they would be eligible to be in those roles as their term on the commission rolls by. So, but aside from that, there's no specific succession plan that's officially written in the bylaws.
I have a question too. Are we moving the candidates to a breakout room, or are we doing this with the candidates in this meeting with us?
So it's possible technically, however, because the results of the vote are public, any of the candidates could find out if they wanted to who voted for whom.
Okay,
So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I was just asking if that's protocol or not.
it's only a member. Yeah, there is no protocol. So if a member of the commission would like to make a motion to do that, we can certainly, that would be in order. Otherwise, we can just go ahead with our election. I'm not hearing any. Okay, just to be clear, if we do a roll call vote, we will be recording individual votes. And so what we will do is then name each of the candidates, and then we'll ask those of you who want to vote for that candidate to raise your hand, and Ms. Boyd will record those hands.
The way we'll have to do it is I will have to call on each commissioner, and then they will let me know who their candidate is of choice. That's how we'll have to do it.
Okay, well, we can do it that way as well. All right. If we're ready for that and there's no further discussion, then let's go ahead and move forward with that. Ms. Boyd, would you like to please begin?
Yes. So Mr. Bailey, you're up first.
Ed Lopez.
Then Ms. Blake.
Mr. Lopez, I'd like to see a PA join.
And then Dr. Chung.
I would like to vote for Mr. Lopez as well.
And Dr. Curry.
Oh, sorry, April. I feel terrible saying this, but I do think we need a PA, so Ed.
Dr. D'Souza.
I'll be different. I'll vote for Dr. Jager.
Okay. And then Dr. Domino.
Dr. Jager.
Arlene.
Cast my vote for Ed Lopez.
Dr. Gallinger. Hold on, he's put it in the chat. Dr. Watts. Okay. Back to people. And Dr. Lyle.
I cast my vote for Dr. Wong's.
Dr. Murphy?
All three candidates are very qualified, but I vote for Mr. Lopez.
Dr. Vendura?
I vote for Richard, Dr. Walls.
Mr. Poland?
Dr. Walls.
Mr. Rogers?
Dang it, you guys, for doing this to us. I think all three candidates are excellent. I want them all three there. I cast my vote for Dr. Wones.
Dr. Trescott?
Dr. Jager.
And then Dr. Yu.
Like I said before, it's very hard to pick among three excellent candidates. And I would like to vote for Ms. Lopez because PA on the representation of a PA. I wish that we have a public member on that list, but we don't. But maybe think about it in the future. Thank you.
So the results are Ed 7, Dr. Jager 3, and Dr. Wones 5.
Thank you. Based on the results of the election, Mr. Lopez, you are elected officer at large. I would like to congratulate all of you, and I know that every single one of us is in full agreement that all three of you are excellent candidates, and in the future may have additional opportunities next year and the following year where as qualified as you are, certainly have future opportunities to serve in that role. So please accept my appreciation for getting this work done. And we do have a public member on the executive committee as chair of policy chair, Ms. Blake. So we do have a public member representative, but the point of having a more diverse elective or executive committee is definitely well heard and important for us. So thank you for that. Any further questions on the elections? Thank you. And thank you for calling out that the immediate past chair, Mr. John Malden, was a public member. All right, so at this point, I'd like to invite Dr. Domino to make any comments, but before she does that, let me take this opportunity to address the commission and say a few words. First of all, it's been a real great honor and privilege to serve as the chair of Washington Medical Commission. Is certainly a very humbling experience, especially following the footsteps of past chairs who really led this great organization. That privilege was both an honor but very daunting, to say the least, especially because this past year has been uniquely challenging for the commission. So first of all, coming out of COVID and transitioning into in-person meetings and leveraging the new lessons learned and opportunities to overhaul the commission's methods and processes to be more efficient, as you saw today, in how we changed things. That all came about because of what we learned. And so many changes that all of you have been put through, remote and not remote, then remote again. I know it was very challenging for all of you, and I appreciate your patience as we went through that. My personal biggest fear as we reemerged from the pandemic was an erosion of a sense of that identity and purpose that we had worked so hard to build. And I have to state that now, in retrospect, those fears actually never came to life. And in fact, I think we have emerged better and stronger than ever. We went through so many difficult cases addressing COVID information, misinformation, and complaints from both extremes that were unprecedented. I thank you, particularly Panel B, for having carried us through that very unique topic. The Commission over the past year has also had very exciting transformations. I especially appreciated our focus on DEI. We as a Commission recognize the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just as a social responsibility and the right thing to do, but as a critical component of removing bias that could potentially harm both provider and patient in delivering safe care, passed through all of the disparities and injustice that is inherent in our society. So through intentional efforts, we have removed many sources of implicit bias, as you have noticed. And in addition, we have also recognized the value of having diverse backgrounds and experiences within the Commission membership itself that helps our panels have much more thorough and broadened discussions and perspectives. So I appreciate that, and certainly a real honor and experience to have have shared that with all of you as well. We've also invigorated our focus on medical errors, error reduction, and process improvement. While sunsetting the Rome Committee, we relaunched the HERO work group to focus on error reduction and high reliability principles, both internally and externally. I believe that we have taken what was originally really foundational work with Mike Farrell and others before us who wanted to carry forth the work with the Foundation on Healthcare Quality and the CRP credential or the certification program through that committee, have now expanded that to become much more than what it is. I'm also very proud to have been part of some of the transitions that occurred that allowed our licensing process time to be less than a third of what it used to be, and so excited by that as something that we were able to brag about across the country. And I think as a whole, during my past 6 years, I've been really happy to see how we've continued to move the Commission towards protecting the public by focusing on education and rehabilitation of physicians and PAs to be the best that they can be, to go out there and take care of patients and do what they do best, rather than handing out punishments and picking on providers for making errors while practicing under good intentions. And I think that's something that's very unique and very positive for what we've done. I would say that the Commission that we have today is almost unrecognizable compared to how it was when I first joined 6 years ago. And I'm very proud of the direction the Commission has been on and is heading towards. I believe that the honor of serving as chair for the Commission has been one of the high points of my career as a physician. And I'm equally excited that we have a succession of excellent commissioners, as you just saw, and voted into office in line to continue that leadership and keep Washingtonians safe. I also want to again thank Melanie for spearheading so many of these improvements over the years and her progressive initiatives, and the tone that she set that kept the Washington Medical Commission a national leader amongst medical boards. So it's such a proud moment for me to be at a national meeting and say that I'm from Washington, thanks to all of the work that she has led. And I'm lucky that she delayed her retirement yet another year while I served as chair. I know she'd been thinking about retiring for some time now. Also, I want to thank the Commission staff, all of you, investigations, staff attorneys, compliance, licensing, admin staff, everybody, for making it so easy for me to be chair last year. I have yet to meet a single staff member who isn't professional, collaborative, effective, knowledgeable, and passionate about their role in the commission. I've never worked in an organization before where literally everyone is such a delight to work with. I'm sure it takes a lot of patience to work with commissioners who are not as available, responsive, or personable as all of you, and I greatly admire your ability to do your work so effectively under these challenging circumstances. You've all made my chair tenure so easy, and even as you all did all the work behind the scenes that wasn't always noticed or recognized, and I want to recognize them now. And finally, I want to thank all the commissioners who've entrusted me and with whom I've had the privilege to meet and learn from, past and present, and giving me the opportunity to lead and share my passion for this very important work. We as a group are underappreciated and by large unknown. It is our sheer passion for this work that keeps this organization together, and I hope this will continue to fuel our drive, and it's a great privilege that we do not take lightly. I want to say that as I introduce Dr. Domino, that I greatly admire her as a physician and a leader, and I do believe she will bring new ideas while preserving the core of what we are about, and I look forward to learning more from her. I'm proud to continue to serve with her and the rest of the officers, and while Melanie is definitely not replaceable, our next term of leadership will also be guiding the maiden voyage of our new executive director. This is a rare journey that I absolutely do not want to miss, and I really hope that all of you are excited as I am. So thank you again, and I will now hand it over to Dr. Domino.
Well, thanks so much, Jimmy. It's been an honor to serve with you on the commission and learn from you, and as well as your predecessors, Mr. Malden and Dr. Roberts. I also really appreciate all the staff, and I've been incredibly impressed with the changes over the 5 years that I've been on the commission. Since it's late, I just wanted to say a couple of things. My passion is patient safety, and it's for all patients. I worked a long time at Harborview, and to me, taking care of all patients and providing safety, regardless of race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status, whether they're incarcerated or not, is really critically important. As an academic physician, I'm an educator. And to me, the way we enhance patient safety is one of education. It also includes research, but education of physicians and physician assistants and other healthcare providers, as well as guidance. And I think a lot of our guidance documents are very, very helpful to people. I also have done prior work in physician health as well, with the WPHP a long time ago. And after experiencing COVID times with the extreme stress that I've seen on all healthcare providers, especially physicians and PAs, many of our nurses, all the retirements and the lack of staff, it to me, that's also an important consideration as well. So I'm honored to serve. I am open. Please feel free to contact me, and I'd love to chat with people further. And thanks so much for this honor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Domino. We will welcome you, your leadership. So as the last act that I will take as chair for a business meeting, any further comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll adjourn the business meeting. Thank you all, and have a great Friday.
Just want to thank you, Dr. Chung. It's Chris, for your leadership this past year.
Thank you, Chris. All right, meeting is adjourned, and we'll all see you at the next meeting. Thank you.